All right, welcome to another show of Tampa Fishing Outfitters Radio Show 1040 The Team. I'm Captain Rick here with Captain Travis Yaeckel, and Travis has left the building. He left me in here flying solo, so this could get interesting until he gets back. We got a couple good things going on here tonight on the show. We are going to talk about the tackle we use for different species. I know we kind of hammered that pretty hard here a few weeks ago on our tarpon, but we're going to try to go over some of the different species and some of the tackle we use, line size, rod type, strength, what have you. And we're going to go over that, and then we got some promotions here we want to do for the CCA Star Tournament, which is a good tournament that they throw every year, and it's kind of a big deal. There's some prizes here that are definitely worth fishing for, and it's not a one-day tournament. It's I think 101 days of fishing, and you have a shot to get a tagged redfish, and I think there's several good prizes, but a contender boat and a GMC or Chevrolet truck is on the list of prizes there. So that's we'll talk about that later and give some dates and stuff. But where Travis actually went, he went to update the screen so we can see your comments, and if we see your comments, we can maybe respond to the comments a little bit. But anyway, he is back, and we're ready to get this thing.
I was never gone, Rick.
He was never gone. he was here in spirit. He just wasn't here in person. But we'll get to the CCA thing here in a bit. We're going to talk about our tackle, and there was something else that you said that you wanted to talk about on the way here.
We got a ton to talk about. I mean, we can talk about whatever's clever, man. I was just saying, and Rick, we were kind of talking on the way over, is maybe talk a little bit about warm water fishing.
Yeah.
It's starting to heat up. We're in summer.
Yeah.
And water temperatures are getting hot. So it may be a good time to talk a little bit about some of the things that we do or maybe not do when it's hot out to try to catch fish. So I think that would be a good topic.
Well, it's definitely not getting hot. It's hot.
Oh yeah,
we talked about water temp. Water temp, I've seen 82.
Yeah, I was marking like 80. It was like 80 degrees, but this was at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, low tide, but it was still hot.
On a day without much wind, and we're talking surface temp too. Now we're not talking water,
right.
Deep water. But on a day with no wind and that baking sun, we're gonna, especially in some backwater areas that's got some shallowness to it. We're gonna start approaching, water close to 90.
Yeah, you're gonna get
maybe in the low 90s. So
85 isn't far away. We talked about 2 or 3 days of this hot weather, especially when you get these low tides. In the morning like that, it really gets that water heated up, and so. There are some things that I think, or at least I try to do, to try to be on some fish when it's tough. One of those things is going a little bit deeper.
Going deeper. Going deeper. And I always say fish early, fish late. That if that sun ain't right over top of you and you can get some angles on the sun there, it's not quite as hot. And this is the time of year In fact, I took a phone call yesterday. Some guys that end up booking for Monday, and he's inquiring about a full day fishing trip. And I told him, I said, Clay, I said, I'm taking money out of my pocket to say this, but I'm going to talk you out of doing an 8-hour trip.
Yeah.
And he says, well, why? I said, because first of all, you're bringing 3 kids, and it gets so hot that, you know, if we can't catch fish in 4 or 6 hours, let's not. We don't need to stay 8.
Yeah.
It's not going to be comfortable for them, and let's.
The brutal 4 hours. You know, that 10 to 2 it's the hottest part of the day most of the time.
That's right.
Now there are days where you'll get a little rain or you'll get a little cloud cover and whatever, but for the most part, 10 to 2 is going to be a hard part of the day to stay out there and do some fishing without getting cooked.
Right.
Let alone, you know, catch fish.
And something for and I tried to keep this in mind as a father with young kids years ago when I would take my kids fishing, but man, don't overdo it with them. Don't make them hate it because you like it so much and you're keeping them out there in conditions that are just kind of miserable for a kid.
Well, and here's the deal, Rick. I mean, family day, we don't normally get the pleasure of family day, the family day on the boat, but it's not that bad when you look at it like that when you say you've got your kids. So you fish the morning bite,
swim a little bit,
you hit the sandbar, beer can, whatever. You chill out, you know, kick back, swim around a little bit, cool off, have some lunch, you know, maybe a couple adult beverages.
If you go about it that way,
and hit the afternoon bite in the evening.
If you go about it that way, that's great. But a lot of times people don't. They, you know, I get a fish, I don't get a fish, but once a month or whatever, I'm bringing the kids out here. I'm gonna spend every chance I can with a line in the water.
Right.
And that's potentially gonna run the young ones away from the sport.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can't sit out there and cook. You know, what I've found, especially with young kids, now this isn't all of them. There's some young kids out there that, I mean, it don't matter if it's lightning bolts and, you know, hail, silly sideways and whatnot. They're going to get out there and fish, and that's kind of how I feel like I was. But
you probably were.
I was a little crazy fishing as a young kid.
I wasn't like that.
I was a
getting
little
hot, Dad. Let's wrap this thing up.
To me, you know, we were never boaters. We did a little bit of knee boarding, and it was wakeboard and stuff like that. But if we were on the boat and on the water, we were fishing. I mean, it just was part of it. That's why we went. But in saying that, you know, the biggest thing with the kids is their attention span. You know, fishing with young kids is keeping them entertained, keeping them focused for a duration of time. And fishing is one of those things where, especially this time of the year, you're not typically going to have a spring type fishing bite where from the time you hit the fishing hole to the time you leave, with the exception of a tide change or a short
you got a bite going.
Burst of a hole, you're catching fish.
It's not that way now.
And it's not always like that this time of year. So what we're going to try to do today is go over a few things that may help keep that consistent and catching some fish
in those warmer conditions.
In the warmer conditions. So if you've got any questions and you're watching us here on Facebook, go ahead and fire one off to us.
Yeah,
we're gonna
give us a comment.
Try to get a little more interactive here. We're also working. We did some testing here just a little bit ago with trying to take some phone calls. So that's, I think, right on the cusp of something new.
We're on the cusp.
We're right on the cusp.
Yes.
Living on the sandbar.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our fishing here in the last week or so. I didn't make last week, and I know tarpon fishing is in full swing right now, and the winds have kind of on a few days have kind of kicked that one in the guts. But I've been kind of rubbing these guys a little bit since in the last 2 weeks, which I know this is not great tarpon fishing, but
he hasn't really been rubbing me.
I'm 6 for 11 on jump fish, but which sounds fantastic for tarpon fishing, but to hear the rest of the story,
all 11 wouldn't make up for
the biggest tarpon I've caught is maybe 18 or 20 pounds. So I've been picking on the peanuts in the river and in the inlet there, but it's been a good time, and it's been tarpon fishing. I tell them, look, it's a tarpon. And I'm certainly not charging these folks tarpon.
There is a ton.
This is not a tarpon trip. This is an inshore trip that we hit the tarpon for about an hour on the way in. But
you got to get them just on the hill tide. You got to float it back just right. I mean, when the crabs start flushing.
Yeah, these are caught on sardines and with heavy chum. So, But yeah, I've been doing a little bit.
Literally,
of that.
started mustard. Were they mustard?
Yeah, a little cracker, hot sauce. But I've been giving that about 45 minutes to an hour every day on the way in, and but the snook fishing for me, I'm just going to go over my bite here in the last week, 2 weeks, what have you. Snook fishing has been fair. I mean, we've had days that we pull up to a spot and get them going if the tide was rolling, and catch 15, 18 snook in an hour and a half, which ain't great, but this time of year, it's I'm taking it, and then go back to that spot the next day on the same tide, and catching one or two. So, but my redfish bite's been very slow. I was on a school of redfish, but I don't know how in the world, because I thought I was being quiet and the only ones on them, but everybody in the world found out about those fish, and the trout bite's been good.
Yeah.
So I mean, the trout bite's been the best bite for me. I have gone out and tried some of the deeper water, catching mackerel and fishing some of the spots in the bay that we do some mackerel fishing, and we've caught a few mackerel. Nothing great, nothing that makes me want to really get back out there and go after them, but mackerel, and catching a few flounder out there with them, and
catching some flounder in the middle of the bay.
Catching some flounder in the middle of the bay on some rocks.
Nice.
That's which
you
think flounder and rocks don't really go together, but we've been catching some of them. Caught a real nice. Saw some tarpon rolling the other day, some bigger tarpon. Threw on them and caught about a 30-pound cobia. So it's maybe 25, 30. But
he's shrinking, folks.
But
he's shrinking.
I'm sitting here thinking he was only about 25. But
once we got him in the boat,
he may have been a 10-pounder.
Could have been 40.
He was probably 25, 30 pounds. But it was a good fish, and but I don't know. We're keeping the rods bent, but we're not. I'm not coming home.
Nothing
going,
crazy. Nothing crazy.
I'm not like, man, what a great trip this
Nothing
was.
crazy.
We're catching fish, but not springtime fishing. But
okay.
I'll take it. Absolutely.
We'll take it.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we're also going to take a few questions here in just a little bit. We got one from Josh Tompkins, and appreciate that, Gabriel, from Argentina. We got some folks listening from Argentina. So, guys, you're listening to Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Myself and Captain Rick will be right back and answering some more fishing questions and talking about fishing down here in Florida. We'll be right back. And we're back. Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Myself, Captain Travis Yaeckel in the studio. My man, The Undertaker.
The Undertaker. I got
Captain Rick Liles.
I like it better than a wind dancer.
You've been upgraded.
I've been upgraded.
To the UT.
Yes,
to the UT.
Yes,
but anyway, guys, we are in the studios tonight talking some fishing. We've got a couple different questions we're going to take care of here in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, Rick, why don't you knock out the weather for us, guys?
This Tides and Weather segment is brought to you by Alify Marine, and I do need to apologize to Beagle and Megan and Jesse and all the gang there that last week I didn't give, or 2 weeks ago when I gave the Tides and Weather, I did not give them their kudos, and that was my fault. Just got caught up in the moment and didn't share that plug that I need to share for them. Got any boating needs, Alify Marine, they're one of our major sponsors. They take care of us and they'll take care of you. And just so you guys know, there at Alify, we do not take you for granted, guys. We and gals, we do appreciate you. But anyway, the Tides and Weather for Sunday the 4th, June 4th. Tides 5:23 a.m. is a 0.79. That's your low, and your high is at 12:03. It's a 1.67. And the temperatures are going to be 87 is a high, 74 is a low. Wind south-southwest, which I like that wind. at 5 to 10 with an 80% chance of scattered thunderstorms. So that's a big
Typical.
shot at rain.
Typical.
But typical, and they're talking in the afternoon. Those rains coming in.
Finally.
But that's you know how Florida weather is. If it's 80% chance of scattered thunderstorms, that just means somewhere in the listening area, yeah, there's so you could be out there all day and never see a raindrop, or you could be out there and get a deluge on you. So
yeah,
just be careful, because if it's a thunderstorm, you don't want to get caught in it. Try to run from it, but
and watch out for lightning. This time of year, guys, is when the thunderstorms start picking up. A lot of times we'll get rain squalls or just rainstorms, which actually aren't that bad, especially on a hot summer day. You get a nice little cool down. A lot of the folks down in the Keys will call it a Bahama washdown. But the rain's not all that bad. It'll actually bring some oxygen to the surface of the water, and sometimes you'll fire off a bite. But do not get stuck out there in that lightning and end up on the news channel. So.
No, and we said that we were going to talk a little bit about some, fishing in the heat and this time of year. Sometimes that is when you see that storm coming. If it's just a storm without the lightning, and
right.
It's going to pass or whatever. Sometimes, like you said, that kicks things off, because you get a instant cooling of the water, especially if it's overcast. And sometimes we'll get overcast and it'll rain a little bit, but it'll stay overcast, and your wind might pick up a little bit, and that will drop that water temperature a little bit with that rain, especially if you're in shallow water. And that sometimes is what it takes to get those fish going. Yeah,
100%. I mean, we always said, I can remember growing up as a kid, when it rained, we'd always go snook fishing, because the snook would tend to really fire off after a good rain.
Especially if you find a creek or something where you got some
you get some good freshwater flow through there. You even find some redfish that'll lay up in these creeks, and now the tarpon, especially these juvenile tarpon. Right. For folks that don't know, here in the Tampa Bay area, or at least where Rick and I fish and grew up fishing, we've got a couple really nice larger rivers that feed out into the South Shore of Tampa Bay. And so that rain, it's one of those things, you get that interim of you need a little rain, you start getting some rain, things fire off. You get a lot of rain, things get bad.
Right.
You get too much fresh water, and you start to get a lot of muck and a lot of cloudy water that comes out. And then what you do is you find fish on the other side of the clear water.
A little bit of freshwater influx is not bad.
It's not bad. But
know this: if you're new to the area, and I'm going to say something that people that are grew up here and Florida crackers that fish know, snook, redfish, tarpon, fresh water does not bother them.
No.
Especially in small doses. Now, they can't spawn in fresh water.
Right.
But they can live in fresh water. It does not bother them. They won't spawn in it.
They need a salinity for doing their deal on the tide.
But a lot of times fish will move when you get these influxes of fresh water, and they're not moving because of the fresh water. They're moving because the bait moves in that fresh water.
100%.
The bait's not going to put up with it. So the bait moves and the fish follow the bait. Sometimes it's not very far. I mean, if you're in an area where you got a creek coming out, they'll run out, go around the corner. But the fresh water don't bother them. Actually, I love it when
it's
when
good.
we get that.
It's good. Now, I have been in areas. I know that we've got several different areas of listeners that listen to the show, and so there are some areas like where you're fishing, say north or even a little bit south, where you'll be around some farmland. You'll be around some areas with agriculture, and what I've noticed in some of those areas that sometimes you will get some runoff that'll actually push everything out because you get so much rain, so much. I don't want to. I mean, I hate to say it's killing everything or whatever. You know what I mean? But you'll get stuff, contaminants in with that rain coming out, and you'll get those flood. I mean, Piney Point Creek had a big issue a few years back with it. Matter of 2 years ago or whatever, we had some issues with it. But anyway, the rain is not all that bad. Stay out of the lightning, and everything will be cool. But Josh, we're going to get to your question real quick.
Let's get to some of these questions here.
Josh asks, where are you guys seeing a majority of your redfish during the summer? Josh, here's the short and sweet, and not to go too far in depth, but the way I fish in the summer is when the water's up and the water's higher, I fish up under the bushes. When I say under the bushes, I mean up under the bushes. You cast a bait either in a pocket inside of a mangrove shoreline, or you cast a bait right on the edge and really kind of mess with that bait until he goes up under there and puts that bait in that strike zone. That's where those fish are going to want to feed.
And one way to do that, to get that bait to go in there, is how you want to hook them.
You want to tail hook them.
Right.
Because you drive the bait. So when you pitch that bait up there next to the bushes and you tug on his tail a little bit, naturally he's going to want to swim away from you because you're pulling on his tail. So it's a little trick, and it's not a whole lot, but you can kind of tug on a tail hook bait, especially a little bit larger. A pinfish works great. A larger white bait or greenback works great for your live bait. And you want to tail hook them and let them swim up under the bushes. Another little trick is if you've got some larger baits that are real active and they just won't, stay still, you can clip their tail. Now, my personal opinion, I don't like clipping them till they bleed. I'll clip just on the edge of the fin.
Make them work.
Make them work. And what they're going to do is they're going to swim 3 times faster than they would and go half the distance. And that's sending out vibrations.
3 times harder.
Or three times harder than they would and go, half as fast.
Right.
A lot of times they'll just actually do a circle, and they'll spin themselves in a circle, and you'll actually get a lot of coverage in that area because not every time you're going to throw up under the bush and instantly a fish is going to come out and eat it. You may need to sit there and work that, and those fish are going to swim up and down, but they're constantly keeping an eye out for that break in the light on that shadow line, and when they see something fluttering in there, they're going to dart out and eat it. Mm-hmm. So that's your live bait for fishing up under the bushes.
On high water.
On high water.
On low water.
On low water, I'm going to be fishing the potholes.
Potholes, baby.
100%.
Find you some sand holes.
Find you some sand holes. A couple keys is look for some flow, good grass, bait. Mm-hmm. Those 3 keys, or those 3 ingredients will make the redfish pie.
Yep.
And, that will get her done. But it's a trick, man. I mean, to me, pothole fishing is a trick because a lot of guys don't get it. When I say throw in the pothole, I mean put your bait in the pothole. Right. I don't care if it's a foot big or 10 feet big. You got to be in that sand hole.
Yep.
A lot of times the fish will lay on the edge and they're looking for things in that hole. We caught several fish, like 6 or 7 redfish and a couple big snook out of one pothole a couple weekends ago. Yep. It's a big pothole.
I believe it.
But I mean, we sat there for a couple hours and these fish just kept moving through, and they're always going to check out these sand holes. Mm-hmm. And if you get close to them, and especially if you're going to do some cut bait or even some live bait and chumming.
Oh, cut bait in the sand hole is fantastic.
You can, because it doesn't move. You're going to get pinfished a little bit. But that's what you're going to want to do on that outgoing or low water is fish those potholes. Now, on the flip side of the tide, when the tide's coming back in, you want to fish those potholes. Follow the mullet. That's your key to finding game fish on a moving water flat. If the water's moving out, look at the line that the mullet are in. If the water's moving in, if the mullet have made it to the bushes or close to it, chances are the game fish are there with them. They are, those are the ponds.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
The mullet are the ponds.
Yep.
And the red dogs are, kind of hanging out with them for the most part.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
That's what I would do as far as finding redfish in the summer. The redfish on the South Shore Tiger, I can't tell you that. That's G14 classified. If I told you, brother, you wouldn't like what's coming. But
well, let's get to Tom Ray's. He says tips for finding whitebait in the grass flats, and you're talking Anclosed St. Joe Sound. Now, I don't fish up there this time of year, but I can tell you this: get out there early. If you see, birds diving, that's always something to go check out. But you'll see that whitebait. It looks like rain.
Look for birds.
It'll be up flickering on top. You get close to that. If you got good tidal flow, get behind it. Start getting your chum out there, and we use the Prieto chum.
I use the 40 mix.
And the 40, there's got a 30 and a 40. The 40's got more oil in it, a little higher protein. It seems to work a little better, but just feed that chum to them, and you can bring a whitebait from 100 yards if you're patient.
Chumming is a whole, chumming bait can be an art form, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, there's times where you walk out and you go flunk flunk, and it's like, oh well, this is game over. And there's times where you'll sit there and you have to play the tide, you got to play the wind, your boat. If you don't have dual power poles like we're fortunate enough to have, where you're not staying still, that bait is going to come to the chum. So you need to watch where your chum's going.
Yeah, how many times have you chummed?
Maybe throw the chum way out.
Here, you throw the chum 20 foot to the right or to the left, and then you throw your net 10 foot to the right.
Right.
You don't always throw where
you
you're
got to play
chumming.
the wind. You got to put. I always drive the bait fish where I want them. You want to. Okay, that's where I want to throw my net. So I'm going to need to put chum there or chum there and get that chum going and put the baits where I want to throw the net. And that's a big key to catching whitebait on the flat. So, but guys, Tyler's giving us the we're out of here sign. So we're gonna take a little break, guys, and when we get back, we're gonna answer some more questions and talk some more fishing. You're listening to Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Are we ready?
You're ready.
You said delay,
No,
I was waiting on the delay, man. I was waiting on it. Welcome back. You're in the live well with Rick and Trav.
Ooh.
At 10:20, the team, Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show. The delay. But we're trying to answer some of these questions. But before we get to the next question, if we get another question, we're out of questions. But before we get
and Tiger, I thought I was already done with that season.
Yeah.
I just went ahead and burned that bridge.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure I wasn't getting an invite.
They're posted up at the mouth of the river, and they got birds flying over the skyway, and Travis is pumping shells at them as hard as he can go.
Baby.
But anyway,
you can't hit him if you don't shoot at him.
That's right. Let's talk about the CCA. It's May 27th through September 4th, and if you're not familiar with the CCA, man, I tell you what, you need to familiarize yourself. Great outfit, great foundation, whatever you want to call them, organization that really has our interest as recreational anglers at heart. But they got this big tournament, and I don't see on here what year this is, but I know they've been doing this for years. But they have it's $500,000 in prizes and scholarships for this thing. It's the big prize is a tagged redfish. I think they tag so many redfish, and they got 6 prizes.
They tag a handful of redfish.
If you're the 7th guy that catches a tagged redfish, I think you're out of luck. They got the 6 prizes, and you have a choice on the prizes, first come, first serve. And I don't have my specs with me, but I'll tell you what they are here. It's a GMC Sierra 1500 pickup truck, a Contender 22 Sport with Yamaha motor. What's that say? A Pathfinder 2200 with the Yamaha, a Maverick HPX with Yamaha. Yamaha's stepping it up for this.
Yamaha stepped up big for this.
Sea Hunt with the Yamaha, and then a Carolina Skiff with the Yamaha. So if you're the first one to bring in a tagged redfish, you get your choice. Of that.
And here's the deal. $35, man.
For $35, money's going to a good cause, and there's all kind. That's just for the spotted red, the redfish with the spots or tagged. I'm sorry. But they got all kinds of prizes for trout. They got prizes for sheephead. They got ladies division, fly division, kayak division, a kingfish division, and you can go online to register at ccaflstar.com, and it'll have all the information. $35, you stand a chance to win a $50,000 rig.
100%.
So
man.
That's and there was a guy here years ago
that catches them and they're not signed up.
That's right.
Well, a lot of people don't know that right here in good old South Shore Tampa Bay is where most of these redfish come from, if not all of them.
Really?
Come from the redfish hatchery down near Port Manatee.
Well, but that's not where they release them all.
No. But that's where they come from.
Oh, sure.
That's where that's where the CCA gets the redfish that they tag and they go release for us to catch. So they're all up and down. I don't think it's just West Coast. I think it's all of Florida. I think they got several different locations. Maybe I'll reach out to Lisa and maybe get her to either phone in with us one day or maybe even come in. I know she's runs through the area quite a bit, so maybe we'll get her to come in and fill us in a little bit about more on where maybe they release these fish. Because what do we got? We got Gabriel asking us, I am preparing for all things for shark fishing, and since I'm seeing them, they would have come and proved the fishing where I live. I'm
not following that.
Gabriel,
condense that for us.
No comprende, my friend.
From
but there are a lot of sharks around in Tampa Bay. If you're looking for some sharks,
they just had the blacktip tournament this last weekend.
Just had the blacktip tournament, and
I think a 6-footer or something close to 6 foot won it.
I didn't see the results, to be honest with you.
My buddy Kurt
but I do know they had it.
My buddy Kurt fished. They fished all night. They went out Friday about 4 or 5 and fished.
How'd they do?
They caught 2, but they didn't have anything really worth taking. But they said they lost a decent one. But their highlight of the night, they caught a 8-foot nurse shark. So that was kind of fun at midnight.
Oh, those things are like hooking on to Volkswagens, man. You think you hook the bottom when you get one of them things, man. But
they're kind of cool too because they're pretty docile. You can pet them and do hands.
Okay, good.
On, so.
Real quick for all the South Shore guys down in the South Shore area, Tiger just mentioned to us that Lisa's going to be at the South Shore Anglers meeting tomorrow at Little Harbor there at Sunset Grill. So if you're interested in that may be a good time if you're in the area. Maybe just to swing down. If you got any questions, maybe you can pick her brain a little bit about trying to find out where they released them. But I know several guys in the area through social media and things have posted pictures over the last couple years of catching these fish, and they're not signed up. So get their sign up. Like I said, it's good it's for a good cause, and it also adds that extra dimension. Because being a tournament angler, there's something about that thrill of when you're on the water where it kind of means something. So when you sign up for something like this, you've got 100 days that every day you go fishing, there's the opportunity that you're going to win a truck or a boat or something.
That's right.
And I fish tournaments all over the state and even out of state where we're fishing for the same thing sometimes. So it's for a minimal cost. It's actually a pretty cool thing. Now you're looking for a needle in a haystack.
Oh, of course.
But sometimes tournament fishing seems like that anyway.
Yes, it does.
So, but well, guys, this is all good stuff, and we are going to see if we got any other questions there. It looks like
we're out of questions. I hope Gabriel, however you pronounce, I guess it's Gabriel. I hope he sorry, Gabriel, I didn't mean to Gabrielle you with the old female version. My apologies, but send that back. We're not really sure what the question is. If you'll get back to us with another comment here and just kind of condense that down, maybe we can help you out a little bit. I'm here we go. Here in Cordoba, Argentina, we have tents over 100 centimeters long for fishing.
Cool. Well, that's all good stuff, Gabriel. Sorry, buddy. Don't really apply here in Florida.
Yeah.
But send us a couple more questions, buddy. We'll get them fired up for you. But
as far as,
I want to talk.
Let's talk a little about shark fishing, and maybe we'll touch on something that he's looking. The information he's looking for. This is the time of year that I always kind of know that the shark fishing is best here in Tampa Bay, right around the time you get the Shark Week on TV.
And it's here too.
And it is. It's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So shark fishing is we're where we need to be on shark fishing. I'm not a great shark fisherman. I mean, I don't shark fish 100 times a year. I do probably 10 to 12 shark trips a year. But shark fishing to me is one of those kind of I don't want to down it in any way or give it the respect that that it deserves, or don't give it the respect it deserves. But shark fishing is kind of easy. It's get you a chum line going, whether that be just a ladyfish, jacks, whatever you've caught, chop them up, buy a chum bag, do whatever. I personally like mackerel best for
real
shark
oily
fishing.
Fish, something stinky and oily, bloody.
And I fish sharks on the bottom, and there's a lot of sharks in Tampa Bay, and if you're patient enough, and I like fishing.
What are some of the sharks you catch in Tampa Bay? What are some of the species?
You see, now I get this question on the boat, and to me, if it's a if it's not a hammerhead, a bull shark, a bonnethead, or a black tip,
they get Ruskinized. They're just
it's
sharks.
just a reef shark after that. You know, so I got the 4 or 5 that I can identify, and then after that, it's just a reef shark. You know, so I don't have the vast
there's a lot of different sharks.
And this is that. But as far as catching them, you know, establish that chum line, and I'm telling you, you're going to catch sharks. I mean, like I said, I'm not a great shark fisherman, but we've gone out before and caught 15 sharks in a 4-hour trip, and that don't sound like a lot of fish, but
that's a lot of pulling.
That's a lot of pulling. Some of these sharks are taking 25 minutes to get to the boat.
100%.
So, and some of them don't. Some of them take a minute and a half. You know, you get a little 3-foot reef shark, whatever he is. He's a reef shark. Bring him in, but it's a very event-filled trip.
It can be, and you know, I actually personally, to be honest with you, like growing up around here, you do the redfish, you do the snook, you do that stuff, you fish inshore, and then it seems like when I was younger, I just want to keep going out farther because we weren't allowed to. And then you can finally get in the bay, and then we can finally go outside the bridge, and then we can finally go outside Egmont, and then man, it was go over to Mexico if you want to go there, you know.
Right.
But when you talk about a big fish, when you talk about, you know, a long fight, you know, a lot of crazy, a lot of, like you said, a lot of excitement. Shark fishing is probably right up there. And I'm not going to
Well, that's
right
what Tiger says. Shark fishing is like playing
it's
poker. Hours of boredom followed by seconds or minutes of sheer terror.
Right. But it's similar to tarpon fishing in the sense that you're sitting there and you're like, oh man. The difference is you see tarpon a lot of times. If you're seeing sharks roll, okay, and you're throwing at them, just stop. Just stop right what you're doing.
You talking about tarpon roll?
No, sharks. If you're seeing sharks roll and you're throwing baits at them, just stop what you're doing.
Okay.
Because they're porpoise.
Okay. I'm sitting here trying to.
Because I've had it. Man, did you see that shark? Throw a bait at him.
No, I'm sitting here trying to filter this in. I'm like, man, I ain't never seen sharks up rolling. Not like
Come on, man. You ain't never seen them up rolling?
But anyway,
you gotta chum them up.
Yeah. Shark fishing. Shark fishing is it's great. And I'll tell you what, for kids, that added element of, you know, the potential danger, which I say potential danger, it's not really dangerous, but you know, we've had, I go back to a trip a couple years ago where we had a 3.5, 4 foot shark to the boat and had about a 9-footer come up and center punch him and check out on us. The guy's like, you think we can catch it? And I'm like, no. He goes, why not? As it's pull and drag, you know. I like, no, because the hook's in the shark's mouth that we don't have hooked, you know, that's not, well, we had it's not doing the damage.
Yeah.
You know, we're not, and that turned out bad for the little shark, but the big ones are there.
The big ones are here.
Which we had a trip here a while back, and I know we got to get to the next break, but we had a trip a while back where we quad hooked on those jacks.
Oh yes.
And you ended up bringing up a jackhead, and these were big jacks. These are 15-pound jacks. And, and Travis brought in one of the guys on his boat brought nothing back but a head, and it was a clean, fresh cut.
That was your leg.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So,
but
anyway.
Well, Rick, we're rolling right through the show, man. Tyler's giving us the thumbs up, so we're going to take a little break and pay some bills. But when we get back, we got one more segment. We're going to be talking some more fishing on Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Hang tight.
Stop by Tampa Fishing Outfitters today and check out our O'Hero product line. Rods, reels, fluorocarbon lines, braided lines, hooks, and much more. Packed with an incredible inventory of over 10,000 items in stock. Tampa Fishing Outfitters is the perfect destination for any of your fishing needs. We also carry a great selection of sunglasses and fishing apparel. Our knowledgeable guides are here to answer all of your questions and to repair your rods and reels. Visit any of our 3 convenient locations for all of your fishing needs. Tampa Fishing Outfitters. If we don't have it, you don't need it.
Wait for the delay.
And we're back. Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. Myself, Captain Travis Yaeckel, in the studios. Big man, the Undertaker, a.k.a. Wind Dancer, a.k.a. Big Country,
Big Country,
Diesel, a.k.a. Captain Rick Liles in the house. And we're talking some fishing, guys. We were talking a little bit about fishing in the heat. We've covered a little bit about, you know, catching some redfish when it's hot. fishing up, tight to the bushes, fishing the potholes on the lower tides, transition tides. What I wanted to add to the redfish thing, just in terms of some area to look at, is on these low tides, negative tides, these outgoing hill tides that we'll have. A lot of chances are you're going to have to be out there pretty late to experience this, but you're going to have ponds that'll occur. These low tides are going to get out there. And if you like wade fishing, now's a good time to get out there and wade fish. You can fish in some of these ponds in the evening to dark. You can get out and wade in some of these ponds, these pockets, these potholes, and you're going to find snook and reds, especially on the flats, not the backcountry, but the flats.
Definitely.
A lot of the fish that I've seen, Rick, have started to really move out of the backcountry. A lot of the fish I've seen and been catching have been on the exterior or the outside of islands, closer towards the bay, so they can get off on the sandbars, they can get off, in the troughs and be okay out there. The bait has sort of moved off that way as well. It's sitting out on the flats. Well, the local flats around us is covered up with bait. I did get some bait at the marker the other day, so that was good that it was still there. But that's sort of what the redfish are doing. And we talked a little bit about shark fishing. So if you've got any other questions, guys, we've got probably about 10 more minutes or so of the show, and we'd love to cover anything that you want us to. So we'll be looking out for that.
Talking about the redfish on the flats and the hill tides and all that kind of stuff, the one thing, a lot of times you'll see big schools of redfish off the shore. Mm-hmm. I don't mean offshore, but they are offshore, but I mean what we fish, they're off the shore, 3 or 4 foot of water. You got these big schools of redfish. It's not near as common to see your singles and doubles, your little wolf packs out there like that, because dolphins love them.
Oh, dolphins!
And that's why
and bull sharks
and that too. But one of the things you said earlier about fishing on high water, you fish under the bushes, because those fish, it's keep in mind out there that dolphins eat any fish we have out there. So when a fish can, they may go onto a flat when there's 1.5 foot of water and get farther out offshore, but when that water starts in, they're going to safety. Mm-hmm. A redfish, you get 3 dolphins, 4 dolphins running a shoreline in 3 foot of water. You get a lone redfish out there, he's potentially in trouble. So when that water starts rising, that's when they get back into the their safety zone. They're around the mangroves, where they have an out. And so yeah, to not to confuse anybody on what we're saying yeah, fish for them here and then go fish for them there, but that's 2 totally different tide scenarios that we're talking about. You don't, if you really want to catch redfish, unless you are on a school of redfish, 3.5, 4 foot of water, 200 yards off the shoreline, is, especially on the outside of the bars, probably not going to be. I'm not saying they're not there, because they're there and I see them, on a regular basis. But it's not. Your chances are not as good.
And I'll add, Rick, that we say a lot of stuff, and particularly come up with your theories based on experience, and you say, well, they're going to do this and they're going to do that and they're going to do that. I will say that the one thing about redfish is the day you think you got them figured out, the day you get humbled. Is the day you get humbled. And part of that, part of what I like to do, and part of what I think when I do the radio show, when I do seminars, when I do things, is you hand out tools, you hand out experiences, you hand out, what happened that day, what happened this day, and over time, it only comes with experience, you start to put together, okay.
And never say never.
And never say never. With the amount of traffic that consistently increases, with the amount of boats on the water, with the amount of good fishermen out there that are knowledgeable because of shows like this, not saying our show, but, the resources that everybody has to become a better fisherman has really expanded. And so as a part of that, you get fish that start to adapt and get smarter with you, I feel like sometimes.
100%.
And so you always got to be on the edge of not getting
complacent
in a pattern where
right.
I'm gonna go check that hole, and if I'm gonna cast right in that spot, and if there ain't a fish there, then there ain't none here. Well, guess what, buddy? You can only do that for about 2 years before the fish say, you know what? Every time I go in that daggum hole, or every time somebody goes in that hole,
we lose one.
They're gone. Well, over a certain period of time, ain't no fish gonna go in that hole no more.
Right.
So you've always got to be trying new stuff, and you'll never know what you're gonna end up coming across. And those are the beauties of fishing. That is the golden ticket. When you veer off the beaten path,
right.
and you go, holy crap, there's 100 redfish sitting out here, and ain't nobody even seen them. And it's because everybody's zoned in on the norm.
The norm.
And you break away from the norm, you do something a little different, you try some different baits, try some different area, try some different tides fishing in certain places, and it really makes you a better fisherman to where when you get those weird days, or you fish 6 or 7 spots and you haven't caught anything in your normal stuff, well, you've got to bet when that one day we didn't catch nothing, we ran over here and they were all there. So that's part of the tool bag. That's what we all go fishing for. And each trip you learn a little something different.
That's now as a guide, I look at it different. I want a fish on every cast.
100%.
But as a angler out fishing myself, that's part of the fun of it, is the challenge of outsmarting, or I don't want to really, maybe not outsmarting, but conquering the task at hand. If you caught a fish on every cast, it would get boring.
It would.
I'm a golfer. If I hit the ball straight down the fairway and the next shot on the green, every hole, it would get boring. I would lose interest in the game.
You would not be a charter fisherman.
Well, it wouldn't be as fun. It's fun to conquer that task at hand.
Absolutely.
And if you're catching a fish on every cast, those days are great. And as charter fishermen, that's what we want. But I guarantee you, if you go catch a fish, every other cast, 4, 5, 6 trips down the road, you're kind of going, you know what? This is not as fun as it used to be.
And it happens to us in the springtime, man. How many times have you been catching snook, catch 10, 15, 20 snook, and they go, hey, is there anything else we can go do?
Right.
And you're going, really?
Right.
And you're like, all right, man, let's roll. And I'm not talking about sitting in one spot, but I'm saying, you hit your first 2 spots and just made it epic. Just like you said, about every other cast, you're literally catching a fish.
Right.
And then it can get boring, but like when I go out and scout, like if I'm going to get out on the boat and I'm going to go do something, I'm really not as focused on catching fish as I am finding them, finding an area,
you're looking at
patterning fish.
Pattern.
If I can get one to eat, great. But I know that with the tool bag that I've built, that the one obstacle and the one thing that most everybody that fishes, the one thing that you're always looking for, that you're always trying to do, is find fish.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find them before you can catch them.
That's right.
And that is always the hardest part most of the time.
Right. And if you're listening and you're new to the area, or you don't fish much, and people that grew up fishing this area, they could come in here and tell us things.
100%.
If you're new to the area, whether you fish with one of us, Tampa Bay is full of, I'm talking top shelf charter captains. Get with the captain, invest in a trip or two, and fill, as Travis's term, his tool bag. Man, learn some of that from them. They've got years of experience learning this. You can cheat the curve a little bit by going with them and learning that. It shortens your learn time. Mm-hmm. And like I said, whether it be us, obviously we love to have you, but Tampa Bay is full of great captains.
Piles of them, and there's a lot of experience here on Tampa Bay. If you do want to get out with one of us and do some charter fishing, we'd love to have you. Right now is a really good time to go do some fishing. If you want to get a hold of myself, you can give me a call anytime. That's at 813-830-3474. Captain Rick, give out your information real quick.
813-601-2900.
I like it. And then if you ever want to get a hold of Captain Jason, his cell phone number is 813-727-9890, I believe. So if you're interested in getting out with one of us, like what you hear, always give us a call, and we'd love to get you on the books and do some fishing. We got a couple more questions. How much time we got left, Tyler?
1 minute.
We got about a minute. So I don't know if we'll get to all these questions, but I'll come back here in just a few minutes, guys, and answer some of these that we don't get to. Fishing inshore. Guy has 6 rod holders on his boat. What 6 rigs tackle would you use? I may have. I'd probably go 3 live bait, 3 artificials. I'd tie on Yaeckel. I'd tie on a Rapala skitter walk, and probably a top dog. Maybe even go 4 artificial, a gold spoon, and then I'd have a live bait rig with a number 1 circle hook, and another rig with a 5/0 circle hook for cut bait. Game over. All with 15 to 20 pound.
Put a weight on the cut
all with
bait
15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon leader, O'Hero fluorocarbon leader. So that's how I'd roll, guys.
I'm right there with him.
So he's right there with
I mean,
me.
that's you said what I would have said.
I like it.
Ditto that.
Ditto that. Well, guys, we are coming to the end of another great show. We appreciate everybody for hanging tight with us here. Catch us again next week. We'll be here next Wednesday doing the same thing, same place, same time.
We'll be here, Bat Channel.
Bat Channel.
All right.
We're out, guys.
Thanks
Thanks
you.
for listening to Tampa Fishing Outfitters radio show on Sports Talk 1040 The Team. We'll see you next week.
Ow.